Give me money.
What is up, guys, and welcome into another episode of the Ain't It Funky podcast. My guest today is Lily Joyce, also known as LJ Drummer on Instagram. Lily is an incredible drummer originally from Nashville and based in LA. Lily has been building a following on social media with her super slick playing style and technical versatility behind the kit. She has loads of live and touring experience, notably with Devin Again and Lindsay Lomas. She has played the Grand Ole Opry, Lollapalooza, and CMA Fest, amongst others. In our conversation, we spoke about Lily's love for John Bonham, her touring experiences, playing a Toto medley for David Paich at the University of Southern California, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe wherever you're listening. The video version is available on YouTube as well. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy. All right, Lily Joyce, welcome into the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Harry. I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate you taking the time. So, Lily, tell me how you got started playing music, playing drums.
Yeah, absolutely. I started playing when I was like 8, maybe 9. It was right around my birthday, April of, I guess that would be like 2011. And my grandparents had gotten this toy drum kit kind of as a joke. Because no one in my family is like super musical. My mom played piano a little bit. And so they got the toy drum kit and gave it to my brother and I. And my parents were upset. They were like, this is gonna be so loud and so annoying. Like, why is this in our house? But then I started messing around with it, and my brother decided he wanted to take guitar lessons. And so I was like, put me in drum lessons, like, let's go. And my parents didn't even like bat an eye. They were like, yeah, let's do it. And so from the first moment that I sat behind like the kit in like the drum lesson room, I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And I never really lost interest, which was really cool.
Wow. And so what were like your first influences, or what was your start on the drums? Like what were you playing along to? And yeah.
Yeah. So, I think at first it was interesting because I was just like 9 years old. I was listening to a lot of pop. I was a big One Direction fan.
Okay.
But my dad would play Led Zeppelin in the car, and that was the one that really did it for me. John Bonham. I think it was Cashmere when I heard it for the first time, just that groove where he's like laying into it. I that really sparked an interest in me. And so I just went through like their whole catalog, and I would listen to that at like the family desk in our living room. I'd have like my headphones on, and I'd just be like bumping like Houses of the Holy. And so, yeah, John Bonham for sure. And then I also was a really big Paramore fan, Zach Farro. Huge on Paramore. And so those two really did it. And then also No Doubt. I really loved the like funk rock influences of Adrian Young. So that was really cool.
Sweet. And then so what were then like your first experiences with like gigging? When did you get into that? Because it sounded like you got into it quite young, because you were telling me before we started recording that you played on a cruise ship for like a week when you were 12, you said?
Yeah, I was 12.
So you must have started gigging young. Yeah.
Yeah, I started doing this thing called School of Rock, which is like a franchise where you can take lessons. There's like different locations around the world. And we had a location, the Nashville School of Rock. And I started going to that right away when I was taking lessons, when I was 9 or 10. And what's really cool about that is they have like these programs where you can do like a 3-month performance group thing where you rehearse like once a week for 3 months, and then you go and you play at some venue in the area. And being in Nashville growing up, that was like everything, because then, you know, there was so many places to go and play. And so I then started doing their house band program, which you have to audition for, and you play gigs like once a month, maybe twice, you know, could be every weekend. It's not consistent per se, but being in Nashville was great because we would go and just play like at one of the bars on Broadway, or we would play. They had really cool opportunities even to play at like the Ryman Auditorium sometimes.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and so I started doing that when I was 10, and I did that all the way up until I was 18, when you kind of like graduate from the School of Rock, and I went to college. But for those 8 years, I was playing consistently, which was a great experience.
Wow. So you said every 2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah, every 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes we would even play at like NHL, like Predators hockey games. They have like a band stage within the arena, and so when they would
Wow.
have like intermissions between periods, we'd get up there and we'd play like 2 or 3 songs. And that was awesome because that's like at least like 10,000 people. You're up like I can't express the fear that I felt, but such an amazing just experience to be able to push yourself and go out and do that.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. And so in Nashville, I suppose because you were playing so much, you must have like immersed yourself in the scene quite a bit. Because of course, Nashville being Music City, I mean, it's one of my favorite places in the States.
Yeah.
Just because of that. Like I remember my first time going to Nashville and like being so kind of starry eyed with like, oh my god, this is like, I remember going to Broadway for the first time and just walking down that hill,
Mhm.
onto Broadway, and I was like, this is unreal. I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and you obviously mentioned that you played on Broadway as well. You must have played there hundreds of times, and yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting doing that as a kid because, everyone around you is like a 40-year-old man, and like I mean, it was great exposure, I think, for me also, just like in terms of growing up and like being very aware of like the world and my surroundings. But I think, yeah, I became very comfortable with the smell of like cigarettes and beer and like all of that. And I think it really did help though in terms of just like pushing me to interact with people that are a lot older than me and getting comfortable, like being confident in myself and owning, my drummership. And I think, yeah, playing in those venues, it was fun though too, because like I don't know, it's a lot of drunk people, and they love the idea of like this little girl back behind the kit. And for a lot of those people, they haven't seen that regularly, and so I really enjoyed just that experience, and it definitely helped with connections too. Meeting certain people, and kind of developing a network like early on, just as a kid. So it was cool.
So did that also like teach you, I guess, a lot about the industry and sort of what it takes to break into the industry, like at a young age already? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's difficult because, I'm in middle school and high school at that time, and I'm still also just like a kid. And so my priorities were, yes, to play drums, but also just to like, be with my friends, be in high school, like maybe play soccer. But I think it definitely taught me a lot about like showing up on time, getting places, with being prepared. And I think I accredit that a lot, mostly just to School of Rock in general, because they really emphasize, like with rehearsals, you show up, you know your part, you have to be reliable. And then also I think the people skills really came out when it came to playing shows on Broadway, because you're having to talk to like a bunch of older people you don't know, and have learning kind of what to say and how to interact with them on a surface level. And I think that was really good for like 12-year-old me, who was like,
Mm,
okay, this is networking, this is the industry, this is how to just like how to connect with people in a productive way.
that's amazing. Yeah, that learning that early on, I think, is so valuable, and yeah. But what kind of material were you guys playing at that time in School of Rock and at the gigs?
Yeah, so it was like a wide range. It was definitely a lot of what, just the public is going to want to hear, doing a lot of rock, like playing Led Zeppelin or playing like Earth, Wind and Fire, getting, some funk tunes out there. We would play, I mean, it was definitely a mixture of everything. And I think that's what was really, really good for me as a kid as well, because they would do like these season shows where I kind of mentioned there's like a 3 month, like you can do 3 months of a rehearsal each week, and then you have one final show, and they'll have like an emphasis on like one genre or one band. And so like I remember in the 7th grade, we did a Fleetwood Mac show.
Nice.
And that was huge for me because I hadn't really heard a lot of Fleetwood Mac. And basically every week I'm just hearing their whole catalog and learning their songs. And I think it really helped me to like widen the genres and the range of music I listened to, because we would do a Fleetwood Mac show, and then next season we were doing like a Justin Timberlake, Bruno Mars show, and then we would do Pink Floyd. And it's like, that's really good for kids, because then it's like not just listening to your Spotify playlist, or for me, what was like, the pop radio on the way to school. It was like, okay, no, here are all of the bands and genres that make up music today. And it helped me as a drummer specifically to really widen my influences and apply that to my playing. So.
Amazing. Where can I sign up to School of Rock?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, they have an adult program. I think get in there and
Oh,
but
wow.
as a kid, it's definitely, it was very influential.
Yeah, sounds like it. And then, so in School of Rock, were you practicing like rudiments and stuff like that as well? Were you honing on sort of technique as well
Yeah.
as obviously learning the sets? Yeah.
Yeah. So what was great about School of Rock was that once a week I also had like a lesson, maybe like every Tuesday for 45 minutes with like one drum instructor. Um, and I think by the time I started when I was like 9, and by the time I was 18, I had been through like 12 different drum teachers, just because like
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
Nashville, there's people going in and out. And I did have some consistency for a while with certain instructors, but it was really cool because they're all like really talented people who have come, maybe they've graduated from Berkeley in Boston, or they've been playing in Nashville for years. And so it was really nice. Every week I'd come and I'd practice my rudiments, I'd practice drum reading, and then maybe also learning some jazz fusion, like, by the time I was older, really trying to hone in on my drum skills so that when I was playing the shows, yeah, I could apply that.
That's incredible. That's amazing. And then, so when did you move to LA?
Yeah, so I moved to LA when I was 18 for school. I go to University of Southern California, and I'm in the Thornton School of Music. I'm a pop music performance major. And yeah, so I moved when I was 18, and it was great. It was a great decision to make, I think.
So what's it been like studying at USC?
I love it. I really do. I think at first it was really, really challenging. Just mostly like in a personal way, like the culture shock of getting to LA, and it's like, okay, you're not in Nashville anymore. Your parents aren't here. I didn't really know anyone. And I think at first it was definitely really tough. I was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to Nashville. It'll be easier. It'll be more comfortable. But I'm so grateful for the challenge that it was, because it really, like, there was a lot of growth in that first year. But I love the program. I mean, the faculty here and my peers are like the most talented people I've ever met. And honestly, my program is somewhat similar to School of Rock in the way where we have like a core performance class where you go in every like Tuesday night, and they've given you 3 songs to prepare within like a band. And I would be like the drummer for my band. There's a keyboard, guitar, and you go in and you're playing these songs in front of like Patrice Rushen, who is just an amazing keyboardist and songwriter, and then Paul Jackson Jr., who's played guitar for like Michael Jackson and for, I mean, I can't even list, right? And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
they're just, it's really, really cool. And it's great to develop a network as well, because now you're in LA and I'm kind of experiencing this industry for the first time, surrounded by people that have the same goals as me. And it's really cool to do that with kids that are my age.
Right. It as you say, the network thing, I think you having grown up in Nashville and then now being in LA, it's like two of the biggest music cities in the world.
Yeah.
So for you, it must be, yeah, amazing for you to be like immersed in both of those scenes and get to meet people in those
Yeah.
scenes.
I think I at first it was kind of like I was getting a lot of questions like why leave Nashville when you have this industry here, you have all these people that you've met and that'll work out for you. But I think I just knew being in LA and it's really like kind of starting with people that Nashville is so country music and it's
Yeah.
very also it's an older industry with a lot of older people and somewhat like male dominated. And so being in LA, it's very young and I do love pop music. I love, a lot of that. And touring is a goal for me. And so being in LA, it seemed to be like the network that I need to build for sure.
Right. And so are you getting many like touring gigs? Do you have stuff lined up where you're
Yeah.
touring?
So this past summer, I did like a couple smaller tours. I toured for an artist. Her name's Lindsay Lomas. She's amazing. She's a total beast. And that was probably like my first real like touring experience where we're in a van, and I think that was really monumental for me because it was also an all woman tour, like a female
Mm.
complete production, and so that was really fun. I made some really close friends, and that kind of set the stage for now, like what I want out of touring. But it's been honestly somewhat difficult being in school at the same time because there have been a few opportunities where it's like, oh, this would be great. I get a tour offer, and it's like, okay, a 3-month headline tour for this artist that I love, and I have to be like, sorry, I can't because
Oh.
I'm in school. And
Yeah.
you know I think there's somewhat a struggle in that because it's like touring has been my dream since I was 10, and I I've known I wanted to do that. But also just being a kid in college and being with my friends and getting a degree is really like the goal for me right now because I can tour forever post grad. I can't graduate with my friends and live in like a college home and just go to school. I can't do that forever.
Right.
And so there's a bit of a push and pull between the two. However, I think right now being in school is great, and then touring in the summer or post grad is definitely the goal.
Okay. And yeah, because you mentioned Lindsay Lomas, and you also toured with Devin again in support
Yes.
of Rebecca Black.
Yeah. So we did
How
a
was
couple.
that?
Dude, that was sick. We did a
Yeah.
couple shows in July, and that was really fun because Devin's music is just one of my most favorite things, like in the whole world. I had been a fan of her music before I even was put in touch with her, and then my friend Lorenzo works with her and was MDing the tour, and he hit me up, and I was like, yes, please. And I think that's also, I mean, in terms, yes, like touring, being with the right people is essential, but playing music that like you just love and are just, I mean, I can't express the feeling that it gave me to be on stage playing music that just served like my soul. Like it was really, really fun. Devin is an amazing artist, singer, songwriter, and that was cool. I got a tattoo on that tour, my first tattoo.
Yeah.
And I had Devin write out the word gum, which is the one of the names of her songs. And I got it tattooed on me because I felt like it really represented like just the, I don't know, the whole growth of the process where it's like I grew up wanting to tour. I'm touring, I'm with my friends, and I'm playing music that I love. And instead of just getting a drum tattooed on my body, I was like, let's just get the word gum and then I'll explain the meaning later. So,
Yeah. Well, that has a very sounds like it has a very like sentimental value behind it.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And so, did you get to meet Rebecca at all?
Yes, I did meet Rebecca, and she's an amazing performer. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't really super familiar with her music, at least what she's been doing lately. But her entire show was just this amazing production that was like it was very pop. It was very she had these dancers that were amazing. And when I met her, it was funny because I guess we have a mutual friend, and so we were in a group.
Yeah.
She's like, which one of you is the drummer? And I was like, hello. And then it turns out we have a couple friends in common. And so it was really nice to talk to her about those people. And she's just super chill, down to earth, and an amazing singer.
Right. Wow. Yeah, and at USC, coming back to USC, are you do you sort of gig much around LA through, or either directly through USC or through people you've met? Do you get to gig a lot in LA?
Yeah, absolutely. I think last year I was really doing that. I was playing a lot of house shows. I was going out to like West Hollywood and playing at some of the smaller venues. It was really important to me last year because so I'm a junior right now. In my freshman year, I, was really adjusting. I didn't know anyone, but I would look around and I'd be like, everyone's playing shows. I need playing shows. I need to prove myself. And I didn't play any shows until the very end of my freshman year. And at first I was like discouraged. I was like, maybe I'm not doing enough. But then sophomore year, I had really just kind of like developed like my friendships and connected with a lot of people that were playing. And so I would say like every weekend I was out either playing at a house show or playing at like the adults only bar, like in West Hollywood. And I think it kind of got to be a lot because, as also a student, it's not like the gigging and stuff is directly related to USC. It's not like I'm in a club, and so I'm not putting it on a resume per se. But I think it was really fun to be running around doing that, and I still do. But last year, I would say I really put an emphasis on okay, every weekend I'm playing with a new artist. I'm learning like an hour long set, and just like pushing myself to be like, okay, here's what I can do, and learning, okay, oh, I'm gonna have to get this to this venue a lot earlier because of parking, and oh, I'm gonna need a drum kit. And luckily I brought my drum kit out at the beginning of the year. But I think that was a lot of fun, just getting that experience and being like, okay, I'm in LA. I've established, myself as a drummer with connections. And yeah, and I do a bit of that, but I'm more so focusing on school currently.
Right, and obviously in LA, as you know, there's like the Sunset Studios, Record Plant, a lot of legendary studios where big artists have recorded. Have you gotten to like record in any LA studios at all?
Yeah, I haven't been to Sunset yet, which I'm anxiously awaiting that. But what's really cool also about my program at USC is that during our junior year, we go in to the Village Studios over in Westwood,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
every Saturday we go in and we record original music in like I think there's three different rooms that we kind of occupy, like three different studios within there. And it's really cool because we're going in and I would be like a session musician basically. I go in, right? I haven't heard any of the tunes. They give me three charts, three different songs. We have two takes. I read the chart down. We do
Wow.
our first take, and then the second take has to be perfect.
Wow. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's really cool, really challenging and terrifying. But I've really enjoyed that studio experience specifically at the Village Studios because it's an amazing place.
Yeah, sounds like you're getting a real taste of what it must have been like for like Steve Gadd or Jeff Porcaro back in the day.
Unreal.
Just
Yeah, Steve.
getting charts and just knocking out grooves
Yeah.
and all day long. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's I'm so fascinated by that like LA scene, like the amount of Wikipedia searching that I've done and reading up on all the I don't know about you, but like I'm very obsessed with when I hear albums. I want to know who's on it, like
Yes.
who's playing the drums, bass. Who are the musicians on there, especially if it's like older albums. And I think that I know this was made in like L.A. or Muscle Shoals or Nashville or whatever. I want to know who's on it. So yeah, it I mean, it fascinates me that these musicians just used to do like morning to like late hours in the evening, and then like I don't understand. It's just so insane.
I really don't know how they did that because
Yeah.
I mean, and also for me, what was really terrifying is I usually learn by ear. Like I'll listen to a song and then I'm like, okay, here's what I would do. And then like I'll, you know, on that regard. And so when I'm coming in and they're like, it's the charts and it's like written drum parts, that was terrifying. And I just really, I don't know how they would come up with, what they would play. And also they're playing like Steve Gadd, Jeff Beccaro. It's so complimentary to the music. It's so and it's I think their ability to do that and so quickly and so tastefully, it's inspiring for sure.
Yeah, it's insane. And with the drum charts, is somebody else like writing them for you, or are you able to like write your own charts?
Yeah, so someone else is writing it, and usually it's kids like in my cohort, and they do a great job. Sometimes though, it's funny because there's the goal is for every person in my program to be able to write music for any instrument. And so sometimes it's like a bass player who doesn't play drums writing the drum part and they don't really know the drum notation.
Mm.
And so sometimes it can be funny, but most of the time it's perfect. Like I go in there and I have to write charts for like I would have to write a song one week and I would be bringing that into the session and I would be the producer. And so someone else would be playing drums, there'd be bass, and we'd have to write parts for each instrument. And I think that's really, really instrumental because you're having to learn how to write for guitar, and I don't play guitar, and so I've really enjoyed learning about that, and yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds incredible. Sounds like you're really broadening your skills, and as you say, not just in writing drum notation and being focused solely on drums. It's also writing for other instruments. Are you playing? I presume you're probably learning like keys, and are you learning any other instruments at USC?
Yeah. We have to take a keyboard class, which, it's not my strong suit per se. But I think it's fun, because then we're also taking like a music theory class. And so, like I can apply, okay, right, the major scale. I see that on the piano now. And now in my music theory class, I can write that out visually.
Mm,
And I think, yeah, I play a little bit of the bass, a little bit of guitar, because my
nice.
brother played guitar growing up, and so I'd watch him and I'd be like, oh, I want to be like you. And so I would toy around with the guitar when he wasn't looking. But yeah, I think it's honestly really it's integral to be able to play at least a little bit of every instrument. If say I wanted to be like a music director for a tour, to be able to communicate like, okay, right, the guitar would be doing this, bass this, um, because yeah, like drums are everything for me, but perhaps I could expand my horizon with that.
Right. And tell me about performing for David Paish at it was at USC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, oh my gosh, that was an experience. So we have a pop forum class here at USC that's led by Patrice Rushen, who's the chair of the pop department. And basically she just brings in like her really famous friends. And there was one week where she said she was going to bring in David Paish, and she wanted to put together a tribute performance as a surprise for him. And she does this like somewhat regularly, usually like one or two per semester. And to be chosen to be a part of this is like the best, most honorable like feeling ever, because she's not going to pick anyone that she thinks like she's going to get in there and she's going to be like, that this needs to happen now, this needs to be quickly and put together. And so I was able to play drums as a part of this medley, and we played Hold the Line, Rosanna, and then we did a Cheryl Lynn song. I think it got to be real. I think
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. And It was amazing. So we were given the parts like the day before we started rehearsing, and we had like 3 rehearsals, technically 2, and then a sound check before the performance. And so it's cutthroat. Like we went in there and it was like, you need to just be able to do this, read it on the spot and like go. Um, for me, that was terrifying. I was like, my reading chops are not up to par. But such a rewarding experience to go in and like, push myself. And it was really hard. I'm not gonna lie. I did cry a little bit after the first rehearsal because I was overwhelmed. But
Mm.
we got in there and we did the performance, and David Page was just like the nicest, most humble dude ever. And just to be able to perform those songs for him and be like, this is what your creation has led to and how it's impacting us, so many years later. For him to sit there and really listen and hear us, it was really, really cool.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's also great to hear that he's down to earth even with all his achievements and accolades. And
Yeah.
I love that when you meet people that they've done so much and they've won awards and everything, and they still manage to be like humble and cool and just chill and yeah.
He was like, he's one of those guys. I'm sure you've had the same experience. If you meet someone and you're like, I could like run into you at a coffee shop, and you like no one would know. Like he's so
Yeah.
chill. He's just another dude. But his mind and his songwriting skills and everything that he's done it's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Toto is one of the, obviously I mentioned Jeff before, he's what can you say, It's like
Yeah, I
the
think
man.
also
Yeah.
knowing that I was playing Jeff's parts in front of David Page, I that was a whole other thing in my head, like, okay, don't mess up. Because you do that intro to Rosanna, and it's just the drums in the beginning. And so like in my head, I'm just like playing it, I'm like, don't do anything bad. Don't do anything bad. And then once you get in your head about that, bad things can happen. But luckily, I kind of just went into like space out, just do it mode. And he was very complimentary. He was awesome.
Yeah. The thing that blows my mind about Rosanna, apart from obviously that like monster groove, with all the little embellishments,
Yeah.
when it's written out, it's obviously got all the ghost notes, but actually in the first verse, he's not actually playing all those ghost notes. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh
it's not
yeah, yeah,
it's not so he only sort of on the second verse comes in on like and with more embellishments.
yeah,
But what blows my mind is like when you see Jeff talking about was it at, I think it was the Modern Drummer DVD. Is that right?
mhm,
Like the one,
yeah,
yeah, where he's doing Mushanga and Rosanna and all that. But what blows my mind is when you see him doing that pickup at the beginning, the kick it do. You know what I mean? Like he does it with like the left hand. He just does a double stroke, and
yes,
he's not actually going right, left, right, and then on the crash, he's not going kick
correct,
it. He's doing it like kick it,
yeah,
like that's
yeah.
so slick. And then I'm trying to play it like that, and I'm like, no, dude, I don't, I can't
I
get it
so
like that clean.
I don't know how his double stroke is
Yeah,
strong enough, because like you listen to it and it's powerful. It's in there.
yeah,
And also the phrasing, like if you were to try and do it with right, left, right, and then to the crash, it's unnatural, right? Because
yeah,
then you say good, and then you're like switching over. And that was honest. That's like the hardest part of the song, is like making sure you nail that. Because I tried to do the double stroke and I was like, that will embarrass me more if I try to do that than just going the other way. But I don't know how he was able to generate that power so quickly.
yeah. It's incredible. Like his control, and then obviously the right-handed pattern. I told you before about me playing the cruise ship last year. We were playing Rosanna, and on the electronic drum set, the hi hat, like I couldn't find a sweet spot in the
uh,
sensitivity that it would actually sound good. So I'm there just trying to like smash it out for dear life. But it's like it just didn't sound
yeah,
right. And even I mean, I was playing that for 6 months, And this is a testament to how insane that song is. We were literally playing that song every week for 6 months, and it didn't get any easier after
Right.
6 months of playing it. I was like,
I
how is it that every time I'm having to concentrate so hard to like, and with the fills in between, all that, like, yeah,
like it's not even just that groove, it's the sections and it's the fills in between, and then it's like the outro, and like
yeah,
I'm exhausted by the end of the song. Every time we rehearsed it, I'd be like, my arms need a break. Like,
yeah.
his stamina and his ability to do that consistently is insane.
Yeah, I mean Jeff is what well was a genius. I mean,
Yeah,
who knows how much else he would have done if
yeah,
if he wouldn't have passed away so early. It's
yeah,
yeah, I mean, tragic that he passed away as early as he did. But yeah, he
yeah.
was the legacy he left is just unmatched. It's insane.
I think about that a lot, honestly, with John Bonham too, right? Like,
Absolutely.
with him being like my number one inspiration, thinking about what he could have done, and if he were still with us today, because it was interesting, even just being like 10 years old and learning and being inspired by someone that isn't with us anymore. I think often I think about what it would be like if I could meet him today, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it sounds like John was a very quiet, like shy, humble guy actually, but obviously because he drank so much, he was always eccentric, I guess, when he was drinking, but he was kind of
Right.
actually behind the scenes. He was, he didn't like all the hustle and bustle of like stardom or whatever, and
Yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, he's another one that where it's just like, oh, when you analyze his grooves, his feel, you can. The thing is, sometimes I'm in like a diner or a bar or whatever, right? And and there's like faint music playing over the speaker, right?
Yeah,
it's not loud, it's just faint, and I all I can recognize is the drum sound. I go, it's Led Zeppelin, it's Bonham.
it's Bonham. It's the snare for me, at
Yes, the
least. It's the
superphonic,
snare.
that sound.
Ugh.
Yes, it's oh
I think about this a lot just because John is like one of my like number one inspirations. But I think in terms of like learning the drums, if you want to learn how to groove and how to intentionally like put your energy into the kit and just like nail into each hit, it's John Bonham. Like, so many, I mean, I go back to Kashmir every time because like it's just the same groove, really, almost like the whole song, but yet somehow it is so dynamic and so punchy, and like I could just talk about that song and that groove forever. He's a genius.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, without like, obviously, it started with Purdy's shuffle, but "Fool in the Rain," of course, is there'd be no Rosanna without Purdy and "Fool in the Rain." Like that, that hi hat
Yeah,
opening halftime shuffle thing. Like, but like just the the power in that groove, and then those fills, and you're just like, it just every time it comes on, it just gives me stank face. I'm like, this is so tasty.
yeah, uh,
It's
it's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. But so Lily, you're obviously now like rising fast on social media. Tell me a little more about what your like social media journey's been like. When did you start posting stuff, and how's that journey been for you?
Yeah. I made the LJ Drummer account when I was 12. It was actually like right when I had gone on that cruise that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
I made the account and I was like, let me just post like one or two videos. I'm in the seventh grade. I don't know a lot of people, but my friends at school followed it. And I kept the account for a really long time. And I never really posted consistently because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and Instagram Reels didn't exist. And so I kind of just like had the account just because I felt like I should have it, and maybe I'd post a video like every once in a while. And then Instagram Reels came around. I don't even know when that was. Um, but I don't know really what led me to start like posting consistently, but I was just posting a few videos here and there. I was like, okay, I'll try the Reels thing. And then it wasn't until September of this past year where I posted like one reel. I had sat down at my drum kit. I literally like just was playing a little something. I was like, I'll throw this out there. and it did really well. And I got a lot of great feedback and compliments, and then that led to a lot of new followers. And I was like, okay, I'll just go in like every once in a while. I'll do a little groove, play some fills. And that's been, honestly, it was really fun watching the first video do well, because I also was able to speak to some like drummers that had seen the video and gotten in contact with me that I knew of, that I am a fan of. And so that was really cool. And just to be seen as a drummer it was a really cool feeling.
Yeah. So basically, is it been like that since, like the videos you post? It's just literally you being like, all right, I'll just play a little something, jam a little, and then just throw it up. Like it's not like you put much planning or thought into the
I
videos.
Initially, it definitely didn't have any planning. Once the followers started to really rise, the pressure kind of sits in, and in my head, I'm like, this has to be perfect. It has to be
Mm.
great. It has to, knock people's socks off, because, once I know that a certain number of people are going to see it and be judging it can kind of take a toll mentally. However, it's been really good for me also, because I'm like, okay, maybe I'll listen to like one song that I'm really into right now. I'll play that groove, and then I'll fool around with some fills and come up with some ideas, and then I'll press record and I'll get in there. So it's not exactly like as authentic as, say, like the first few videos were, but it's definitely like I'm just going in there, I'm generating some ideas, and I'm not putting more than like a few minutes of really true thought into it.
Yeah, because I guess then it loses that kind of authenticity, and you're kind of trying to force,
Yeah, and then it's
the
forced.
yeah.
There was one time where I like tried to force it, where I was like, I'm gonna play this fill and this time, and and it took me like an hour, and I was like really upset. I was like, this isn't fun anymore. I don't know what I was thinking. And so I went in the next day and I just played some nonsense, and I was like, right, okay, that's what I want to do. Thank you. Because I don't want it to not be fun. It has, I think the draw to like some of the videos I post is just how it can seem like I'm just messing around and it's natural. And so I've really, really liked being able to just post those and see what people think.
Yeah, I think that authenticity really does resonate with audiences. Like if I may say so myself, you like watching your videos is infectious just because of like you look like you're having a good time.
Yeah.
It's it's yeah, you're you're loose, you're just chilling, you're kind of, you can feel you're just kind of improvising, you're playing, and as you say that, I think that's way better than like I can imagine if you'd be putting thought into it for like an hour and trying to,
Yeah.
do it again and again and be like, oh, I have to play this fill and I have to
Yeah.
do this chop and I have to show off this. Then
Yeah.
it's like that can get in the way and you can then lose that passion, also visually.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
yeah.
think one of the things about it, I get comments being, because I'm looking up at like the ceiling or somewhere, because in my head that I'm just thinking like, I don't know what I'm about to do. I'm
Yeah.
gonna find it, and so you can see the wheels turning in my head. And I think that's one of the fun parts, because I get a lot of people asking me like, oh, is the music written on the ceiling? I'm like, no, it's just, I don't know where else to look. I need to like zone out and like go into like a drummer brain and get in there. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
fun.
love that. I love that. But yeah, but so I always have a segment in this podcast where I like to ask people about like their practice time.
Yeah.
Because I find it fascinating, like seeing different approaches from different drummers.
Yeah.
So tell me about when you go to practice. What's your approach? Is it kind of more logbook and logging the BPM and keeping track, or is it kind of a bit more loose, like you'll just take an idea and work that out for a couple hours? Or yeah, what's your approach?
I would say my approach is very loose. I've never really had like a regimen of like, okay, I'm going in here, I'm doing this. What it usually looks like is I'll sit down and, drums for me have always been about just like being happy and doing what I love. And so I'll go into Spotify and I'll be like, okay, what have I been listening to lately? What's going to like really feel good to play? And I'll warm up usually just by playing like Earth, Wind, and Fire, or I'm, maybe a pop tune that I like Remy Wolf that I've been listening to. And then I go in there, and then usually I studied consistently for the past few years with Will Kennedy, Yellow Jackets, and he is
Right.
just like so amazing. But he has a lot of practice like pages that he'd give us with like exercises and things that really challenge like our independence, or a groove that like the pulse, like really thinking about like what we're playing. And so I'll go in and I'll usually do a few of those. And then a lot of practicing for me lately has been like if I'm learning a set for someone, if I'm learning some songs. And so that's kind of a huge part, I think, also of just keeping the consistency of like, I'm in here, I'm playing, I'm focusing on groove and feel. And so I would say my practice, like when I'm practicing, it's not necessarily like I'm going in and doing rudiments and really dialing into my style or like technique. It's more so just like, okay, I'm here, I'm playing, and just by playing, it's helping. So
Right. Yeah, because as you say, I guess also learning so much like different music, such a different variety of
yeah,
music, it yeah, just that also tests you, like tests your skills and your technique, and if you're having to adapt to a style that maybe you're not as
yeah,
comfortable with, or a song you haven't played before, then you still have to sit down and maybe slow it down and be like, okay, hang on, why can't I play this? What
yes.
do I kind of break it down, and yeah, learn it in that way, I suppose.
But I really love going in and watching Zildjian live stuff.
Mm,
And I love learning what, like, I'll watch I think I was watching Thomas Pridgen, I think.
yeah.
And
Oh,
he
oh my
yeah.
god.
So that I mean he's one of the goats, but like I was watching
Oh,
that and I was trying to like what's the word, audibly transcribe what he was doing. And I love doing that. I think that really pushes me too with my ear and like what I can learn. And then if I've got a groove that I like, I'll play to the metronome, and then I'll turn the metronome down as low as I can go, where like let me just see if I'm even on the right track, if I'm staying with it. And that helps too.
all right. You mentioned Zildjian. Are you endorsed by any companies currently?
No, I'm not endorsed. I don't know a lot about that process. And it's probably something I should learn about, just cuz like maybe I could try and do some things. But as of right now, it's very free form, just playing.
What's like your go-to rig? What if, let's say theoretically, if you could like get
Yes.
any company to endorse you, what would be like drums, cymbals? Walk me
Yes.
through it.
Definitely Zildjian. So I've had the same like cymbal setup since I was like 14, because I just love the way it sounds and it gets the job done. I play Zildjian K hats, 14-inch. And then I have a Zildjian 18-inch K crash ride. Love
Nice,
it.
beautiful.
Um, and then I have, okay, I switched actually somewhat recently. I used to play a 23-inch Sweet Ride, like an A Zildjian.
Uh-huh.
And then I switched, I think I play a 21-inch K Ride. But it could be a Sweet Ride. It might, I should know this.
Same.
I,
Yeah, I got the
but
sweet ride as
I
well.
love the
The greatest
K.
ride on the planet, hands
It's
down.
it's just like butter. It
Mm,
just feels so good. And then I would say if I could be endorsed by like a drum company, I'd go with Ludwig,
mm,
sticking to John Bonham. And I don't know exactly like the specific model it would be, but I would definitely have two floor toms. I'd have a massive rack tom. Everything's massive. I want it
mm.
to be massive. And so Ludwig. And then sticks, I play Vic Firth 5A barrel sticks. Love them. I think they're the perfect size, and they've got like that ballpoint tip so that it just kind of rolls off. And so that's, yeah, off the top of my head, that would be. And then Evans drum heads. Evans,
Mm.
yeah, for sure. I think I play like G2 coated. So
Okay. And so is that G2 coated batter, and
Uh,
what do you have on the bottom on the resin?
on the bottom on the reso, I honestly don't know. I think I
Oh,
realized recently. So I've played the same Yamaha stage custom drum kit that my parents got me when I was like 10 for like my whole
right.
life. And I think I realized recently I still have the stock heads on the bottom.
Okay.
So I should look into replacing that. It always sounded good to me. I never had a problem with it. But
Hey, if it works, I mean, honestly, like the main thing I always find is the batter head.
yeah,
And I mean, I on this tour that I'm playing, I'm playing a Yamaha stage custom,
yep,
uh, which I mean, I put G2s on the top, but
yep,
it's because of money. Obviously,
yeah,
it's like I've not replaced all the reso heads because it's
yeah,
also pretty much unnecessary. But it
yeah.
sounds great, and like I almost never have to tune the toms. Like tune them once,
Exactly.
and it's done. Like the G2s are so
Cool.
consistent, and they
Yeah.
sound the tone is always there. Like the dynamic, the tone. Like yeah, Evans is my
I
it's my go to as well.
I never tune my toms. Like I pull up, they sound good. The snare is always a thing for me. I'm playing right now. I have a DW 14 by 6.5, like a studio. I don't know the specific snare that it is.
Mm.
But I'm always messing around with that. I've replaced the heads a few times because I don't know, the snare for me, like it has to feel good and it has to sound good, and I'm always like tweaking it. But it's been a great snare so far.
Yeah, I mean DW obviously, they just I don't know if I've ever played anything by DW that sucks,
Yeah. Oh,
everything's just like
so
top of the line. The
yeah.
hardware is the best on the planet. Like back home
Yeah.
I have DW hardware, and
Yeah.
it's I've had it for so many years, and
Yeah.
it just holds up like yeah.
DW would be like second on the list behind Ludwig. I'm loyal to Ludwig, and then if DW were to reach out, I'd be like, well, maybe.
Sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ludwig, good choice, good choice. I mean, as you say, go Bonham, go
Yeah.
big, big toms, big like 24 or even 26-inch bass drum, and like
Oh,
just
yeah.
punch for
Well, what about
days.
you? What's your choice?
So at the moment, as I say, well, on this tour I'm playing Yamaha, but that wasn't actually like necessarily that wouldn't have been my first choice.
Mm.
It's again, don't get me wrong, Yamaha make great kits, and the Oak customs are insane. The even the stage custom obviously is just a mid range kit because of cost. We got the stage custom, great kit, as I say. It's really good, but Yamaha would not be my first choice. So back home, I play a Thomas Star Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the lacquer, is it lacquer phantasm oyster something?
It's something along those lines. Yes. I think I
You
know
know
what you're
which one
talking
I mean.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now back to you again, Lily. Tell me sort of about what projects you've been playing with, or what have you got coming up? Which projects have you
Yeah.
what kind of music, and yeah, who are you playing for?
Yeah. So I recently just did a tour with Grace Anger, an artist who's in LA, and she's an amazing songwriter and performer. In fact, we did her first headline tour back in January, and that was great. That was really fun. It can be difficult right now just because of school. Like touring is the goal, and so I think I have something lined up for the fall, trying to figure out how I can request a month off of school. But I think the tour would be the priority for me right now because, yeah, like summer's approaching and I wouldn't say that I've got too much lined up. And so it's like, okay, how can I really like push myself to be like still actively like in the industry connecting? So there should be a tour coming up in the fall.
Nice,
And then this summer it might be doing an internship with a record label. I'm really trying
nice.
to like diversify myself, not only as a drummer, but also just in the industry, set myself up for when I graduate from school. And so that would be great. I'll be here in LA, really trying to just like shred on the drums as much as possible. I've been in this room like just almost every day, just like playing, practicing. I'd really like to get my drum chops like right up to the top of my game. So as of right now, it's really just dialing into myself, into school, and then hopefully touring this fall.
That's awesome. Is USC quite sort of lenient with, obviously it being a music college, I guess it
Yeah.
are they quite supportive when it comes to that when they're like, look, if you've got a month tour coming up, we get that, or yeah, how are they, what's the policy
Yeah,
on that?
I would definitely say the music department is, they're very supportive. However, they also really, really emphasize like being here and getting your degree because, I mean, you're here, you're in college for a purpose. It's an insane amount of money. And
Mm,
so, to be here, it's important to be present in the classes. I think my professors have been really supportive. This past semester was tough. I was taking, because it's not just the music school. I also am like in USC, and there's a lot of like general education credits I have to get. And I decided this semester to just get them all out of the way at once. And that was tough in January when I had to miss the first 2 weeks of class because I was on tour, but I was having to talk to professors that are in like the journalism school or in like the science department. And I had to be like, hey, I'm going on tour. And they're like, what? Like, no, you're in school. And so that was really tough. But they were also still understanding. And, they get that like everyone has their own emphasis in their career. And so this coming semester should be a little bit easier because I'll be a senior. I'm taking less credits and it'll be mostly like music focused. So if and hopefully when I get to take the month off for the tour, it shouldn't be too complicated. But in the past, it's definitely been like, oh, you can't take time off because you're doing this. But
right.
it works out in the end.
Yeah, I guess what they just don't want you to sort of every sort of 2 months be off on tour, and like it's like, well, why are you even here studying then?
Yeah,
I guess there's got to be that fine line, but of course,
yeah,
as you say, it's also very important for you to get out in the
yeah.
world and tour and get that real life experience.
It's definitely a tough thing to navigate because it's also like, I don't want to be telling everyone no. Like, it's
Hmm.
really great to have these opportunities come up. And then if I say no too many times, I'm terrified, like, they're never going to come back. They don't, they think I'm just done. And so it's really, really difficult at times. But I think just having the belief that like, okay, I'm in school right now. I'm doing the right things. I'm making the connections. I've only got a year left, but it is important to me to graduate and be with my friends. And, just I can only be a student who's, like the only thing I have to do right now is go to class. And
Hmm.
that's a privilege. And so I'm trying to soak that in and then know that hopefully post grad, I'll be able to just really live out the touring dream.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so you mentioned before that you're obviously sort of broadening your horizons. You're going to go get an internship at a record label. Uh, what? Because you said you're not going to, yeah, put just the emphasis on being a drummer, but
Yeah.
in the music industry, of course, it is very important to broaden your horizons and
Yeah.
be a jack of different trades. And what obviously because you've toured a lot. Sorry, my brain is running on like 100 miles an hour now coming up with this question.
You're good. Do
But
your thing.
let me get to the point here. Um, what would be sort of some advice that you could give, some insight you could give with all the gigs you've played, with all the stuff that you've done, maybe for up and coming drummers listening to this, or just generally, up and coming musicians who want to break into the industry, or to maybe like some industry advice or yeah, insight that you could give.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of things I could say. I know initially we talked like I think before we really started in the podcast just about being a good hang, right? Just being the kind of person that you want in the room whether or not you're playing music. Because I feel like all of the gigs that I've gotten have come from just like I just have this friend who, knows this person. They're like, oh, Lily, she's just, not only can she play the drums, but she's just good to be around. And that's such a great feeling for me to hear and be like, yeah, like if I'm in the room, we're going to be hanging out, laughing, but also showing up, being prepared, knowing your stuff, and being reliable, right? Like if you're not going to show up on time, if you misuse someone's trust like that, they're not going to want to trust you again, and they're not going to rely on you, because if you can't be reliable, then what's the point? But also I would say a big part of what I've done so far is taking any opportunity possible, right? Like starting out, it's like, I don't care how small it is. I don't care if I'm doing it for free. I just want to get out there. I want to show people like that I can do this, and that I'm here. And so I think a lot of what it can be is just having to put in the work, play the shows that can sometimes feel miserable. Sometimes you feel like, what am I even doing? But it's from those shows that you often meet people or have an experience where you're like, okay, this is why I'm doing this, and that will lead to the next thing. Because it's just kind of like a tale of like, you do this and that will always something else will come of it for sure. So
Awesome. Yeah. And go take the gig playing for David Page. Get outside of your comfort zone and
yes. Yes.
nail Rosanna and like grow your skills. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a moment where I was like, maybe I'm not ready for this, but you're always ready. The opportunity comes when you're meant for it, for sure. So
yeah, I think it's easy to yeah, be obviously it is good to be self-critical and to in order to grow and to learn, but I think there can also be too much of it. I've certainly been guilty of this a lot. Still am sometimes, where it's like you get in your own way, or you think, I don't know, maybe this is too hard, maybe I can't quite do it. But then when you actually do it, you realize, oh, I survived, and this this is fine. Like this isn't that big of a deal.
That's the best feeling ever, because then it's like you think you're like incapable of doing this thing, and then you do it and you see in the reward. I mean, I felt after that performance, I was like, oh, I can push myself, I can challenge and be afraid of failure, but go after it. And then that's far more rewarding than any gig that you play where you're like, oh, it's easy, I know these songs, I'm not even thinking about it. When you have to work and you're terrified and it pays off, it's like, that's the best feeling ever, for sure.
For sure. So, Lily, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. We're getting to the end of this episode. Is there anything you want to plug or shout out at this stage?
Ooh, I will always shout out the LJ Drummer account. Go give it a follow. But also, I want to shout out Led Zeppelin. Go listen to some John Bonham. Go get in there, groove, listen to it, and practice to some Bonham grooves, for sure. That's the only thing I'll ever plug, for sure.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah. I love that. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, Lily. It was a pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you so much, Harry. I really had a great time. I'm so honored that I got to be here, and let's stay in touch.
For sure. For sure.
Give me money.